everyone, welcome back to another Tuesday Treats where I'm sharing with you some really awesome bakes and walking you through step by step on how to make them. And don't worry parents, they are easy enough recipes for your kiddos to help you with at home. Today I am wearing my black and white because we are making a really delicious and fun bake. We are making Oreo cupcakes. That's right, you heard me right, Oreo cupcakes, and we're doing it with a box cake mix. But we're amping it up a little bit, so I'm gonna share with you how we can make a cake mix taste even more delicious and a very easy buttercream frosting. All with Oreos mixed in everywhere. It's gonna be delicious. So I'm so excited. I hope you are too. Let's get started. So you wanna go ahead and set your oven to 350 and let it preheat while we get everything else ready. Now you want to make sure that you have everything ready to go in order to make our cupcakes. And so what you are going to need is one white box cake mix. It can be white or yellow, but I'm going with white. Some Oreos, double stuff is the way to go. Eggs, butter, milk, a hand mixer or a whisk, a bowl to mix it all in together, and a cupcake tin with some liners. And now I'm going to explain to you how you can make a box mix taste even better. And so you're going to flip your box over, look at the instructions here on the back. This is going to be a big thing. So your cup of water, you're going to replace it with milk, equal parts. So we have 1 cup of water, you're going to replace it with 1 cup of milk. Here we have our oil. You're going to replace your vegetable oil with melted butter and double it. And so we're going to need 1 cup of melted butter. And then lastly, you're going to look at your eggs and you're just going to add 1. And so for this recipe, we are going to need 4 eggs. And so whatever this says on the back, you just want to make sure that you replace your water with milk, equal parts. You're going to replace your vegetable oil with melted butter and double it. And then just add in 1 more egg to the mix. And that's how you make a box cake mix taste even better. And so let's get to mixing. All you need to put into the bowl is your cake mix, your milk, your eggs, and if I have a lot, like 4 eggs, I like to crack them separately into something like my measuring cup and put them into the bowl separately. So that way, if I accidentally get eggshell in there or if it's a bad egg, I don't ruin the entire mix. And then you want to get your butter and put it into a microwave safe bowl to melt it. Make sure you do it in small increments at first to just melt it rather than trying to do it all at once. And so you just pour that right in there and just start mixing it up. And so if you have a hand mixer, this will be so easy. If you only have like a whisk or a wooden spoon or something like that, it's totally doable. You're just going to get a really good arm workout. Once that is all mixed up and looking good, you want to get your Oreos, and then you're basically just going to break it up and throw them in. There's no real science to this. You can have big pieces, you can have small pieces. I end up doing 1 sleeve and about like 1 more Oreo. And so you'll see that I'm just breaking them up, big pieces, small pieces. I mix it up to see how it looks, and I decide at this point I need more Oreos. And so I keep breaking them up and adding them to the mix until I like what the batter looks like. It looks like there's plenty of Oreos in there, and I'm just about to that point. And so you're just going to mix all of that together. Make sure there's Oreos in every bit of batter. Once you're done mixing, you're gonna set your Oreos aside because we're gonna need them a little bit later. And then you wanna get your cupcake tin that's lined with cupcake liners. And I'm grabbing another spoon because this will be helpful. And so you basically just wanna get a spoonful. I did about a spoonful and a half to fill up the cupcake liners. And the other spoon helps just so that way you aren't having to do that with your finger and get messy. And so here I'm just filling up all of my cupcake liners until they're about 3/4 of the way full. You don't want them too full because then they'll kind of puff over, but you want them full enough so that way it's a good sized cupcake. After they are all filled, I like to give them a little shake, a little tap. That way you can make sure all the batter is getting into the nooks and crannies of the cupcake liner. And now it's time for them to go into the oven. And so of course we're gonna set them in there, give them a nice little wave for good luck. And we are going to set our timer for 15 minutes. You might have to add a few more minutes on to make sure that they are fully baked. And I'll show you what they should look like when they're fully baked. But of course you can always get a little toothpick and stick it in to make sure they are. And here you can see me struggling to get them out of the oven with my big old oven mitt. But I finally do because they are ready to come out. They smell delicious and they look great. And here they are. You can see they're a little golden on the top, and that's what you want. We're gonna cover it up with frosting anyways, but you want them to be a little golden on top to make sure that they are fully baked. They smell so good. And now it's time to make our buttercream frosting. And so you're gonna need all of these things. You're gonna need some powdered sugar, some butter, some vanilla and milk, and your hand mixer again. And now we are actually going to half the recipe that I posted in last week's video. And so let's get started. All right, to start out with, we are going to have 12 tablespoons of softened butter to our bowl. You want to make sure that it's softened so that way it is easy to mix up. And so we're going to get our hand mixer and start mixing it up. Again, you can do this with a whisk. It's just going to take a lot more arm power because you want to whisk it until it is lighter in color and a little bit more fluffy, and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about here at the end of it all. And so you can see that it's already getting lighter in color here. And so that looks like a good spot to stop. And so now we are going to add our powdered sugar. We're going to do a total of 2 cups of powdered sugar. I'm adding it in a little bit at a time so you don't get that famous powdered sugar cloud coming out of the bowl. So you just keep on adding your powdered sugar and mixing it up until you have your 2 cups added to the bowl. Next, we are going to add in half of a teaspoon of vanilla extract into the bowl. And you are also going to add in a splash of milk. It's just about half of a quarter of a cup of milk. And so you're going to add both of those to the bowl, mix it on up, make sure everything is well incorporated and looking great. And then you're gonna get your bowl of frosting, some Oreos, and I'm just throwing them in the bag, and you'll see why. We're going to crush them up. And so you can do this with your hands, you can do it with some other kind of kitchen utensil if you'd rather do that. I'm just doing it with my hands because it's easy enough. And so we want these bits to be a little bit smaller than the bits that we put into the batter, although there can be larger chunks, but we're just gonna crush it up until it's all looking delicious and ready to add to our frosting. And it's ready to go in, and so you'll see what it looks like once I dump it in there. You see that there are some larger chunks, but for the most part they're little bits, and so I'm just turning the bag inside out to make sure we don't waste any of that Oreo goodness. And then we just mix it all together until everything is well incorporated and all the Oreos are spread throughout the frosting. Alright, so now it's time to start frosting our cupcakes. You can get a little palette knife like this, or you can get a regular kitchen knife. Either will work, and then you're just going to put some dollops onto your cupcakes. This doesn't have to look perfect or fancy or anything like that. It's going to taste delicious, and so that's all that really matters. But as you can see, I'm just making sure that all of the cupcake is covered. If you like a little more frosting on your cupcake, then by all means throw a little bit more frosting on there. If you like a little less, then throw a little less, and you'll have some left over for some other delicious treat. And so as you can see, I'm just doing this with all of my cupcakes, spreading a nice good layer on all of them. And as you can also see, I have done little mini cupcakes as well as regular cupcakes. Wanted to show you guys that y'all can do either size. And there you have it. They are all done and frosted and looking delicious and smelling great. And so I hope you had a great time and are ready to dig in. There you have it, friends. It was easy as that. And isn't that so great that you now know how to make a box cake mix a little bit tastier just by adding a few ingredients, swapping a few things out, and it's so easy and it turns out so delicious. And so have our cupcakes. I have both my regular size and my mini size. You can do whatever you want. We've iced them with our delicious Oreo frosting and they're ready to eat. And so I hope you had a great time. Hope you had so much fun. We're almost to the end of our summer video series, and so I hope you will join me next week for another special fun bake. See you then. Bye guys.